screeching halt. Live from New York. It's the show that was accused of being a germaphobe.
In the kitchen, you know how those cups, it's like almost impossible to get them apart. So I ripped them apart, and I get mine, and I say to Wilds, you can use that one. He's pulling the other ones apart. I say, use that one. He said, no, your thumbs were on it. Your fingers were on it.
Is that not?
I'm
those
clean,
cups. You have to get in there and pull it.
Yeah.
Everyone knows if there's one lone cup, that's the thumb cup. You can't touch that one.
I did not know that.
You've been taking
My
the
fingers
last
are
cup.
clean. No,
everyone's getting in there. That thing used to be this tall.
It's terrible. It's ridiculous. Can we get some regular cups? It's like a workout. It's like a workout in the kitchen. I'm in there 7 minutes, like, squeeze. I mean, it's crazy.
It's true. Everyone knows.
It's ridiculous. Like, just get my God.
You do look strong.
Regular Dixie cups, you know?
We start with Drake Maye. He has been dropping the ball, yes, indeed. He's also won both of his playoff games by double digits against two of the top defenses in the whole world. Fired. Brou, did you like this mindset?
I'm going to be honest, Nick. Like, this is a game you can be conservative. What are you doing?
Wild.
What is going on?
What's wrong with you? Go ahead, Brou. Do you need me to go? What?
I don't know what Wilds is doing. Go ahead. I have no idea what Wilds is doing.
It's fine. Just ignore him. Do your thing.
I think this is I don't know where you think I'm going.
I don't either.
But, Nick, I think you're going to agree with me.
Yeah. Hey, just hold on. We're
this
doing a real
is
show.
a game where you don't need to score 30.
Yes.
Be conservative.
Yes.
All right? Jarrett Stidham is on the other side. They're going to be trying to protect him.
Yes.
All you have to do is play a clean game, and your defense will take care of the rest. That's it. You can win this game without explosive plays.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
I don't like it.
I love it! I love it too! I love it! I can't help it!
Yeah.
I can tell!
I'm shocked you knew.
Well,
because you like big plays.
And you
I
like
do. He's a great big play quarterback.
Yes.
And you got to be yourself. This is not the time to start changing who you are. I like that he said the number one thing is protecting the ball, so he understands that. But you got to be who you are. And you don't play to lose, because I think going out too conservative, Nick, and I'm done after this, is you're playing to lose.
I agree with that.
I think you got to play to win. Don't just play not to lose. Play to win.
So I agree with that. And the reason Drake Maye is going to finish in the top 2 in MVP voting, and the reason the Patriots, no matter the schedule, we're going to have had a good to great offense this year is because of the mind meld between McDaniels and Drake, and Drake's not only accuracy but ability to make big plays.
Right.
That there is no denying that. And this is a theme of how I look at life and look at sports.
Oh.
Everything has a cost. Everything.
Yep.
And when you see Drake's, the tax on Drake, because let me back up a tiny bit. I don't actually believe that of all the quarterbacks in the league, if they were all in identical circumstances, Drake Maye is the best quarterback already under pressure and the best deep ball thrower. But the numbers say this year he was. Mm-hmm. The tax on that has been the sacks and the fumbles.
Yes.
That other guys might throw it away or take a sack. Mm-hmm. He hangs in there and sometimes takes a sack, which doesn't hurt his passing numbers.
Right.
And sometimes he makes a play other guys live to fight another day.
Yep.
And so when you look at, he has 6 fumbles, right, this playoffs. Mm-hmm. One was he was running the ball. And the final one, the last one, which we can show at the end, was an instant pressure. But I want you to watch these other 4 fumbles as they happened And what you will see is, I think we'll see this one from the beginning. This is after a pump. When he sees the rush, I think I can still make it.
Yep.
And the ball, like, he feels the pressure, pulls it down, and then just tries to throw it anyway. He's hunting a play even though he knows there's a rusher right there. Mm-hmm. Show the next one.
I didn't love those.
Well, I'm going to show you all of them because I don't think there's any you're going to love, KW. This is another one where he obviously knows the pressure's right there. He's stepped up, and instead of eating it, he's like, nope, I'm hunting the big play. Go to the Houston game. Again, these aren't instant pressures. He sees the guy. That's in his face. And he's like, I can still make this play.
It's very similar to one of CJ's.
Yeah, this one.
Pick 6, actually.
Again, that one. It's a 7-step drop. That is his blind side, but he sees him. And he's like, nope, I still can get it off. And then the last one, which was the quick pressure, the only noteworthy part of this is where you have an 8-point lead and the Texans have shown they can't move the ball, and it's still so.
Well, two-back was even worse when he was on like the 8-yard line.
Correct, but at least the game's still like you don't know at that moment that you're not going to need 30 points. That CJ's going to be in full meltdown mode. I hope I don't have to apologize for saying that. And so I just think that this can be the right mindset if you guys are in the Super Bowl against the Rams, and the wrong mindset on the road against a backup quarterback with a great pass rush.
So you're saying he should be different?
I think that you need to, just like you should have game plan centric offenses, I think saying you could have a game plan centric approach that weighs in your opponent, what you think the game's going to call for, on how risky you want to be. Because that Texans game was a massive boom-bust experience. You keep focusing on the boom, I think a little too much. I'm focusing on the bust, maybe you think a little too much. But 4 fumbles and 3 awesome touchdown passes is the epitome of a boom-bust game.
My only counter to that is, and I didn't pull the 3 touchdowns, I would like to see, Dusty, if you can immediately get the touchdowns, how close he was to getting hit on the 3 touchdown passes. And if they went into it, and certainly your game plan can't be to fumble the ball 4 times, but if they went into it like, hey man, the price of doing business is getting hit. And if you're constantly scared for lack of a, like if you play like Aaron Rodgers, we cannot win. Right. There's no chance we can win if you're playing like Aaron Rodgers, quick release, don't get hit. You're going to have to stand in there. You might get hit. We might grab the ball. We might not. So I got to analyze.
I mean,
but you see it when they show it again.
Early.
I mean, he's not pressured yet. He gets this. This is.
Yeah, I would prefer that.
Yeah, of course. And this is the difference between a young quarterback that is going to be great and already has flashes of brilliance, and a great veteran quarterback is being able to, on the fly, kind of do a cost-benefit analysis and, danger assessment. And so, and some guys.
But there are some benefits to being young and not knowing what you don't know either. You go out there and, you play with reckless abandon, and I just think I hear you because they probably have to walk a fine line.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And if early on, if he makes a few mistakes, then maybe you dial it back a little bit. But I think you can't go out there and say, okay, we're going to get away from what we've done all year because, like I said, that's playing to lose. Next thing you know, here comes the fourth quarter, and it's a really tight game that could then swing either way.
My final, and this might sound like being an apologist, but it's how I really feel. I am encouraged by the fact that he hasn't made any real bad decisions coverage-wise. Like the 2 interceptions, one was batted, one was at the end of the half, Hail Mary. There's no.
He's seeing the field clearly.
Perfectly. So it's like, all right, I'm going to take a shot. I'm going to hang in. Maybe I should have. Once he's getting his jersey grabbed, I'd rather he just tuck it and go. Yeah. But so far, has worked out. But yes, we can certainly get better.
I didn't include it because it wasn't germane to the topic of is he, attempting being too risky in the pocket. But the fumble when he was running the ball, to me, was indicative, and we have seen this throughout his young and this year brilliant year, but his young career. He is going to be, I think, a high fumble quarterback. I think the combination of style, this is the one spot where hand size does obviously and clearly matter. Like when Coach Bieniemy was talking about the play where he instantly gets hacked on the, blind side. Rodgers, for instance, who has historically, big hands. How many times have you seen the Rodgers play where he gets hit just like that and somehow he one-handed holds onto the ball? That's not going to be Drake Maye. And so I think that if the Patriots don't turn the ball over, they can't lose this weekend. And so I think I'd feel different if Bo Nix were playing. I might feel different if it were, at home, if there's different things. But in this spot, I think the only path for the Broncos is win the turnover battle. So I would dial back the aggression.
That's fair. All right, who wants to be the Eagles' offensive coordinator? Mike McDaniel? Nope, probably to the Chargers. Eric Bieniemy back to the Chiefs. Drew Petzing to the Lions. Brian Daboll was Jalen's OC in Alabama. He interviewed with the Bills for their head coaching job and might be the Titans' OC, according to Diana Rossini. Currently, Philadelphia is the only team, Brou, that didn't fire their head coach, who still have a vacancy at OC. And it begs the question, is this actually a bad job?
Not in my book. Now, look, I understand McDaniel going to the Chargers. You got a more talented quarterback as far as throwing the football than Jalen Hurts and Herbert. You got a coach who's, I'd say, as good as Sirianni has been as far as his record. I mean, Harbaugh, I think, is a better coach. But, but even if you want to say, Sirianni's won this and that, well, Harbaugh has, I think, more security, than Sirianni, more job security. So I think that's a job I can see, and it's just less pressure. You're not going to have the media, the fans all over you in L.A. for the Chargers like you do in Philly. So I understand that. Daboll, I don't really get that one. I guess he loves Cam Ward, and you can mold him and, all that. But Philly, I think it's a good job, Nick. I get the media, how they're on you, the fans. You've got a Super Bowl winning quarterback who needs to improve on some things, intermediate passing and things like that. But a Super Bowl winning quarterback, a great running back that I think is going to have a bounce back year. Lane Johnson has said he's not retiring. So you still have Jordan Mailata, Cam Jurgens. You should have a good offensive line. If they're healthy, I expect a bounce back year from the O-line. Obviously, two very good receivers. Even if you get rid of AJ, which I don't know if they're going to do that because of the cap situation, but even if you do, you still got Devontae Smith.
Very talented roster and a great organization.
Right. Not only the talent, but two offensive coordinators in the last 3 years have gotten head coaching jobs from being with the Eagles. As the OC, if you're a name or kind of established like McDaniel was, you got full autonomy on the offensive side of the ball. Like they've said, Sirianni's not going to be able to meddle with. You're going to have your way. It's going to be your way or the highway for the offense. So I think it's a very good job. I see some of the drawbacks, but I think it's a good job.
So here's why I don't think you'll have full autonomy on the offense.
That's what they're saying. I mean, unless it's a new guy.
No. I believe that that no other coach or management is going to meddle with the offense. But I do not think the offensive coordinator for the Philadelphia Eagles has access to the full playbook. And I think that, and we saw it with Kellen Moore and where Kellen Moore quarterbacks throw, every year he's been the play caller, and how much of it is that intermediate middle part of the field that a lot of these teams really have the meat and potatoes of their passing game being in that area. That is not where Jalen likes to throw the ball. I don't know that it's fair to say, I don't know what is fairer to Jalen. To say he can do it and doesn't like to do it, that would be weird. Or to say he'd like to do it, but he can't do it. That seems cutting, but it's got to be one of the two because he just doesn't throw the ball there, and we've seen that repeatedly. I think that if he's your quarterback, and you don't have a either dynamic running game, which they might have again next year, but they might not, and Jalen is not as much of a running threat at this point in his career as he was when they went to the first Super Bowl, which, again, we'll see if last year was a blip or a trend, that then the offense is going to be limited. And so it's certainly not a bad job, but, you know, I love just making lists.
Of course.
KW, I think the following are better jobs.
Oh, here we go.
Tell me if I say one you disagree with. The Chiefs, the Bills, the Ravens, the Bengals, the Rams, the Patriots, the Jags, the Bears, the Cowboys, the Commanders.
Oh, so you're naming
the Lions
teams that aren't even in the market.
Oh yeah, I'm saying of 32 of all of where I would like to be the offensive play caller, offensive coordinator. If I think I have head coaching aspirations, and I was going to include Detroit, Tampa, and the Chargers. That's 13 teams. Those are 13 teams that if their play caller position were open, I think is more attractive than the Eagles' play caller position.
Wow.
So
I don't agree with all those teams.
So, so that's, I don't think it's, because of the things you said on the front end, it certainly to me does not qualify as bad job. Like, I think right now, Cardinals offensive coordinator, that's a really tough job. You don't know who the quarterback is. You don't know a lot of talent. This is not that. But it's also weird to me that this job seems to be a temporary job that either ends in your promotion or your firing and no in between.
So let me show you this. This is Jalen's play caller.
It's such a bizarre thing.
We included college there. So a few things. To Nick's point, one, and you said it too, Kellen Moore's got a job, Steichen's got a job.
Yeah.
Peterson bounced around, obviously. And then his college coaches are also successful. But the question I have for you, Brou, is if you were Chris Broussard, offensive play calling genius, and you show up in Philadelphia, I don't think you start with a clean slate. It feels like you've got not necessarily the baggage, but the patchwork quilt of stuff that Jalen has incorporated from all of these guys that he still wants to run. That's a theory.
Well, look, if I were interviewing for this OC job, obviously I would want to meet with Jalen and talk with Jalen and talk to him about some of the things I want to do that I think he can improve on. When he entered the league, when Sirianni got there and Jalen was, people thought not even a franchise quarterback, his passing looked really bad. And he improved on that. It's similar like you talk with Caleb. He has improved on so many things that I think he can improve on the intermediate game. I think he can improve on things like he doesn't really like a lot of pre-snap, activity. Yeah. So I think he can improve on that stuff. So I would sit down with it, and maybe this is what some of them did, and say, look, I want to run a lot of this stuff. And I think you can do it, but we have to work on it in off season. Where are you at on this? And look, if Jalen's like, that's not really my strength. I've won a Super Bowl, been to 2 without it. I don't think we need it. We got a lot of talent. Then you might be a bit discouraged. Yeah. But that's how I would approach it. Like, I want to work with you on some improving in certain areas.
Can I ask you one more question? This might be a better question for Coach. Would I be crazy if I said, I want Jalen to pick the OC?
I think.
Didn't he pick Brian Johnson? He had a long-time relationship.
That's what I don't know if he picked him, but I thought he got the job. Not because of
they
Jalen,
had a
but
they
thought that was someone Jalen would be comfortable with. I just don't know. I think that there's a difference between you pick it and, hey, we like this guy. Why don't you sit down and talk with him like Brou said and see if you think you guys are on the same page? Mm-hmm. I just don't think it's fair to ask Jalen Hurts to have been like studying Clint Kubiak's offense. Right. I know he's looking for a head coaching job. Yeah. Like, does he know that Nate Scheelhaus, the kid from the Rams, like, his passing game scheme.
Yeah.
But I think that guy wants to be a head coach too. But regardless, my point is, I don't know that he knows the schemes of the hot up-and-coming coordinators to, like, this is the guy, unless it was.
And beyond that, I agree with you totally on that. But also, I don't know that that's always I think most of the time that's not a great situation to have a player, any player, pick the coach. I just don't think.
I know. I just can't tell. If he's gone through so many guys, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
no,
7, 8, 9, 10,
doesn't.
11, 12 guys. It just feels like I need some stability.
Oh, no,
the reason why he has had growth, but it's kind of like I'm getting a new guy every day.
But it's not a job. I know I want to get to the next thing. Offensive coordinator in the NFL is not a job that there's not a lot of 10-year offensive coordinators for the same team.
Yeah.
It's a job where you get
5 with Bieniemy, which is
right.
But it's really Andy.
Josh
right,
McDaniels,
exactly. That's the thing. You need a guy like McDaniels, who failed at head coach a couple times to where what the Chiefs have in Spags. He's not going to leave to be a head coach. No one's giving him a job. He's just going to be the D coordinator. That's hard as offensive coordinator. And for the Eagles, 2 have turned into head coaches. The other 2 got one and done fired.
All right. NFL released their own version of Brou's ballot called the NFL MVP finalists. Their list alphabetically: Josh Allen, CMC, Drake May, The Prince, and Matthew Stafford. Brou, do you think they got this right?
They were close. They got about 80%, not about 80% right.
Okay.
Only one they missed is Myles Garrett. And look, if you're a defensive player, you got to be saying, what in the world do I have to do
Win 5
to
games.
get on the ballot?
Well,
look, you bring that up. They clearly took, and I vote for NBA. I take record into consideration. But Nick, we all know this is a 2-man race. So then after that, I kind of looked at it like, yes, winning mattered, but also who did something spectacular.
Yeah.
And Myles Garrett broke a 24-year record. And so that's why I had him instead of McCaffrey. Look, McCaffrey has had a phenomenal season. I'm not taking anything away from him. I'll just say he's worthy of being on it, but I'll just say less than 4 yards a carry, and I get it, it was for the all-purpose yards. Didn't lead the league in yards from scrimmage. It was Bijan Robinson who had almost 200 yards more. So I'm just saying that's why I had Garrett over McCaffrey.
Guys, can we take a moment here and look at the
Top
screen?
5 finish.
Can we take
better than his top 7 finish.
Can we take a moment here and look at the screen?
He's back.
Here are, since the NFL expanded, because 4 years up, all of history until 4 years ago, MVP voting was you submitted one name.
Right.
And now you submit a full ballot and they do the NFL honors.
Here
are the finalists for MVP since they've done it. See if you've heard of these guys. Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Brock Purdy, Dak Prescott, Jalen Hurts, Jared Goff, Matt Stafford, and Trevor Lawrence, along with Drake May. I'm leaving out the 3 position players: Justin Jefferson, Christian McCaffrey, Saquon Barkley.
So what are you trying to say?
He's arrived.
That's a lot. So do you officially feel like he's arrived?
Yes, I do. I don't feel like this year was a fluke. I don't feel like the 13 wins was fake. I understand he had the bad moment in the playoff game, but I thought overall for 59 minutes of the playoff game played really well. And then there's one other tiny piece of news here, I think, because they also announced the finalists for Offensive Player of the Year.
My God, that's what I had too. I was going to ask you.
Oh, go.
Puka, Bijan, CMC, JSN, and Drake. So Drake's the only guy appearing on both lists, which in my mind says, ooh, he's going to win MVP.
No,
and then in my other mind, I said, ooh, he's not going to win MVP.
And first of all, CMC's on both lists. But
CMC, I'm sorry, you're right.
He wasn't on Brou's ballot, which is why you didn't. So I took this as this is even more so than the All-Pro balloting confirmation he didn't win MVP.
So can you tell me?
Yeah.
Explain it to me like I'm a 5-year-old.
Because historically,
no, I know how it works, but why if neither guy plays defense. I don't think either one of them made a tackle this year.
Okay, I have to tell you historically because it's just what the way this has gone in the past is MVP is for quarterbacks. Offensive Player of the Year is basically best non-quarterback.
Like, why wouldn't Stafford be on there?
And when that has not been the case, it has been because there were 2 great quarterback MVP candidates, and people treated this as a silver medal. Yeah. So I read it as voters that were like, man, Drake Maye was awesome. I'm voting Stafford MVP. I'm going to vote Drake Maye Offensive Player of the Year. That's how I read it, and that's how I would bet it, and that's what I think it's going to happen. And sadly, I think it means he's going to win neither. Because he's not going to win Offensive Player of the Year, and he's, I don't think, going to win MVP.
I would rather have Offensive Player of the Year become a non-quarterback award officially.
I agree.
Well, you know my
Cy Young Award.
Yes,
yeah,
the Tom Brady Award.
And then MVP.
Head to Buffalo, where a press conference left us questioning the direction of this franchise. Bills owner Terry Pegula and GM Brandon Beane played the blame game for drafting Keon Coleman. He's still on the team. Then said they hit the ceiling as a franchise under McDermott. Also blamed the refs for Brandon Cook's, air quotes, catch. So they should have won the game if it wasn't for the refs, but since they didn't, it cost McDermott his job. Meanwhile, some of their interviews feature three candidates that have already been in the building: Joe Brady, Brian Daboll, and Anthony Lynn. Should this week be concerning at all for Josh Allen?
I wouldn't love it if I were him, Coach. And it's for a number of reasons. One is, the owner of the team said, and this, he might not have been telling the truth, but he said, yeah, going into that game, I wasn't planning on firing Sean McDermott. But when I saw how inconsolable Josh Allen was, that's when I knew I needed to do it. If I'm Josh Allen, I already felt terribly, obviously. You know, we saw it. And now I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Like, I felt awful because I turned the ball over. But if I had hidden it better, maybe you don't fire the coach. So that's, you know, a little punch right there. They also then made it very clear. I think everybody kind of missed the bigger story of the Keon Coleman thing. When he's like, that wasn't a Brandon or Beane pick. Right. That was a coach's pick. Mm-hmm. And everyone's like, oh, and the coach is now fired. And maybe I'm wrong, but I would imagine that as strong a voice as Sean McDermott, the defensive-minded coach, would have in which receiver they want. The offensive coordinator, play caller, has a very strong voice in which receiver they want. And not only is that guy still there, he's interviewing to be the head coach. And we haven't heard from Josh yet. We haven't heard anything from him publicly. So all of this, when you add to it, the other thing they made very clear was, we think this roster was absolutely Super Bowl caliber, and we underachieved. All of that, if I were Josh Allen, would leave me feeling a little wobbly after the way the season ended.
Well, the good news is he knows if he doesn't like the new head coach, just cry after winning the game. that dude will be out in a hurry. Yeah, you should absolutely be worried. So the guy this is a billion-dollar corporation, walks in after the most emotional game of the season and suddenly decides to make a massive shift in the direction of the organization because his players are emotional, and he wasn't going to fire him prior, and he fired him based off a play that he doesn't agree with, that should have been a catch, that wasn't a catch, that would have won the game, and then he wouldn't have been fired. How does any of that make sense? And how does any of that give you confidence that moving forward, the decisions are going to be well thought out, unemotional, objective, and in the best interest of the long-term success of the organization, and not just emotional reactions to whatever's happening during the course of business? It's so hard to do, and I brought this up so many times with when they took over the Sabres and what happened since they've owned the Sabres, and the 5 head coaches and the 4 GMs that have been there, and the more they get involved and this becomes business as usual, the more we're going to see coaches turnover, and there was a huge playoff drought before Sean McDermott got there, and maybe Sean McDermott hid a bunch of the problems that were inherent in the organization. Maybe he overachieved as a coach there based off the amount of meddling as opposed to underachieved. I don't know, but I'm sure making a strong argument for that.
It's hard for me to believe. Like, I actually think Beane had a lot to do with this. It seems like from the reporting there was at least tension between Beane and McDermott. I have a hard time believing that the owner, there was no discussion or even thought of getting rid of McDermott going into that game.
What backs you up on that, Brou, is by 10 a.m. Monday morning, not only was Sean McDermott fired, but Brandon Beane had agreed to a big new job and a promotion.
Right.
Which I would imagine is not done in 90 minutes. Like, maybe I'm wrong. Again, I'm speculating.
Well, it could be. It's like, hey, I'm going to fire you or promote you. What do you think?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I guess you're right. Like, I mean, that's a fair point.
I also think, Coach,
Wouldn't take me long to make that decision.
You know, I've dealt with a lot of owners. You've dealt with some as a coach. I think if you put a lot of owners in front of the media, they're not going to come off well, because I don't think they're generally used to being in front of the media. You know, even a lot of media people, their first time on TV, first few times, they're not comfortable. You know what I mean? Yes. You don't know the media's jabbing you. The media's trying to get you to say something crazy, or so if you don't deal with that every day, you're not used to it. And so I think that is part of why the owner came off poorly. Look, I agree.
And the other thing, Brou, is when your whole life everybody tells you how smart you are and how great every comment you say is.
Most of these owners.
And then suddenly people are like, maybe that's not the case.
Right, yeah. Look, I don't have the most faith in Beane. I think he should have been gone along with McDermott. But I do think they had to do something different. I mean, 7 tries. Like, you can say McDermott is a good coach. Nobody disputes he's a very good coach. But you're just saying, I think we're going to get over the hump eventually with no proof of doing it. It's not like you lost to the Chiefs every year. It's not like you never beat the Chiefs in the regular season. You know, you lost to other teams, most notably recently the Bo Nix, and you beat the Chiefs in the regular season and lost continuously in the playoffs. Like, I think they needed a change, and I think Josh understands that. And so I get it. You might be concerned about what they're going to do going forward, but they needed a change, I believe.
Can I ask you a question, Coach? Because I think sometimes when we talk about coaches getting fired, we just think about the head coach and maybe the assistants. Can you kind of outline the domino effect on how low it goes when a head coach gets fired, from strength and conditioning, nutrition, all of it, analytics? And because what I'm trying to get at is, if Jaquan McMillan doesn't make that play, or if, the overtime rules were different, or if Josh gets the tush push, they're right there on the edge, and now they're changing a wholesale leadership group in Buffalo.
Yeah, and it depends on who comes in. So look at what the Giants are going through right now. The longtime personnel guy who was there 28 years, he's now gone. Yeah. Their trainer, I forget how long he's been
45
there.
years.
45 years. He's now transitioned to a new role. And that organization, which had a ton of continuity in coaching and in the building, because they went and got John, and John had very certain demands in terms of how far his reach could go. Now a lot of people are losing their jobs outside of the coaching staff. And to some degree, I think there's merit in that. I think that everybody in an organization needs to be pushing in the same direction, and everybody needs to feel the same sense of urgency. So the trainer, the trainer, the equipment guy, the strength conditioning guy, the nutritionist, everybody needs to feel that, because you either go, you rise together or you fall together. And then everybody's pushing in the same direction.
But will there be less of that? I would imagine there'll be less of that in Buffalo, because Beane, who was there 4 months shorter than McDermott, they were there together basically, not only is still there but got promoted. Harbaugh came in and Joe Shane got demoted, and he's over him. So am I right in assuming there's going to be a lot of, like, what you're talking about, like institutional stability that I would imagine Beane is going to keep in place because he's still there?
Yeah, I don't know.
It's funny, in a lot of buildings you can walk in and see who has the power by who has the best offices. So if the personnel guy has the power, all the scouts and guys in free agency, their offices are the best. It overlooks the field. And then if the coaching staff has the power, those offices shift. And every time there's a new power shift, I don't know how many times the Browns building has transformed, depending on who's in it and which offices, the people
And
have.
Pagula said, KW, that the new coach will report to Brandon Beane.
Oh, that's it.
So that Bean is that.
Yeah.
That was
I'm
the
not
promotion.
surprised
He's
at
got
that.
the-
Yeah, he's got the juice.
Shared office.
Oh yeah.
Bieniemy's back, and maybe he's getting the old band back together. Travis Kelce was enthused, and Tyreek, as he often does, flirted with going back to Arrowhead for a reunion. Very interesting.
You got 31 minutes, KW.
For what?
Or what?
Well, what's in 31 minutes? What time will it be?
Well, sports media
It'll be
ombudsman.
4:12. It's sports media ombudsman.
Wow. We're going to break news?
So before the sports media ombudsman hits, would you like to retract your report from yesterday?
What did I say yesterday?
Well, yesterday you reported that Travis Kelce was not going to be back, and that doesn't sound like a man.
You reported that he was going to be.
Nope. I reported that your report was erroneous.
Well, if my report's wrong, that means your report is
Nope.
right.
I am saying.
I'm saying
we
he's
don't know. We don't know.
I don't know if it's a lock that he's back.
Again, I am very clearly not reporting he is back. I am not saying it is anywhere close to a lock that he's back. I am saying that the assumption that he's done is premature and erroneous. Would you now hear when he says it's going to be great to see him back in the building, the possibility that Travis Kelce will play at least one more game with the Kansas City Chiefs seems a little greater today than it was when you were reporting he was done.
I don't think he's done. I have always thought that he's taken a little off-season plus 8.
Can I bring up my concern here?
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so Travis Kelce is a free agent, correct?
Yeah.
So now the question is, how does the organization value him? So is he still valued as an elite tight end, or do they value him as a guy who's somewhat?
He's marrying a billionaire.
I understand that. You can say that, but there's a big difference when someone says, hey, you are making whatever, $15 million a year, and now we want you back, but you're going to have to be at 7 or 5 or whatever. And even though he's maybe marrying someone very wealthy and has a lot of money,
He's already been.
there's an ego component to that. So can they find a place where he's happy with the contract and they're happy with the contract? Because it's not a lock organizationally that it's in their best interest to pay him as a top flight tight end if that's not really where he is at this point in his career.
Listen, to be fair, he was one of the 5 best tight ends in football last year. Like, and that doesn't mean he'll necessarily be on the following year, but he is nowhere close to peak Travis Kelce, but he is still one of the best at his position. Here's what I will say. I haven't really thought about the money component of it, because I think Wilds might be right, that he takes some time off and comes back. Wherever Travis is on his decision on coming back, Eric Bieniemy being back helps a yes.
That's good.
You know what I mean? Wherever he is on it, it moves it at least a little closer to a yes, and that is one of the many reasons I like this.
Unfortunately, Eric Bieniemy doesn't control the salary cap.
No, I don't. Coach, I just trust me when I say this. Whether or not Travis does or doesn't come back, the money is not going to be. I'm not going to say it doesn't matter. Money is not going to be the issue there.
I would also like to shout out Chris Broussard, who called this months ago.
Thank you. Thank you.
And
Teammate of the year.
That's why you're teammate of the year.
That's what I called him.
You used to hear, Coach, I want
Wilds
teammate of
wouldn't
the year.
name one.
Teammate of the year.
Wilds wouldn't name a teammate of
I
the
thought
year.
you
He was like,
named
if I
me.
give Brou
I
a
did
pizza,
once. He twisted my arm, but I just thought everyone did a great job.
I didn't.
want to
Brou, I didn't
alienate
need my arm
anybody.
twisted. I said it's obvious. It's
Are you
Chris
going to make
Broussard.
the all-decade team?
Teammate of the year?
Oh.
When I think about the decade.
Brou,
for
I
ourselves,
said for the 5th consecutive year, Chris Broussard, teammate of the year. That's what I said. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.